So, a very good morning to everyone again. And I want to begin today with this statement. I'm sure many of you would be able to relate to it. Growth changes your identity, not just your results. So, today we saw the results of Usha ji among her students. So amazing. So, that is also a sign of not only her students' growth, but her growth as well. Right. So, tell me if this sounds familiar to all of you. You've changed something about yourself. Maybe you've started saying no more often, or you have gone back to studying, or you've started prioritizing your health, or you have simply stopped laughing at jokes that make you uncomfortable. Something has shifted. And then, almost on cue, someone in your life says it. Could be a relative at a family gathering, a colleague at the office, or a childhood friend on a video call. अरे तुम तो बिल्कुल बदल गए. And they don't say it like a compliment. They say it like an accusation. And here's what I want to ask you today. What if, what if that sentence, you've changed so much, I barely recognize you, is actually the finest thing someone can say to you? So today we talk about growing so much that the old version of you becomes a stranger, a fond stranger perhaps, but a stranger. Let's meet Kavya. She's 28 years old, works at a tech company in Bengaluru. And for years, she was the one who stayed quiet in meetings, nodded at ideas she didn't agree with, laughed along at comments that weren't particularly funny because it was easier, because she didn't want to be too much. And then one year, something clicked. She started speaking up. She challenged a flawed project plan in front of her entire team. She stopped apologizing for having an opinion, and she put up a boundary with the manager who had a habit of calling her on weekends, and held it. And the response from her team? Suddenly she was difficult. Her closest work friend said, पहले वाली काव्या ज्यादा fun थी. That is the version of Kavya who made everyone comfortable, including people who didn't even deserve her comfort, was more likable. But here's what nobody tells you. When your growth makes others uncomfortable, it usually means you've stopped shrinking yourself to fit their idea of who you should be. So growth doesn't always get applause. Sometimes it gets raised eyebrows too, but that's completely fine. And now let me tell you about Meena ji. She is 42, homemaker in a small town in Rajasthan, three children, a house that in fact, practically runs itself because she runs it. And most of her adult life, Meena ji had one identity. अर्जुन के पापा की वाइफ बच्चों की मम्मी people say it all the time. Never just Meena, never a person in her own right. She decided at 42, which some people in her family casually refer to as too late, to enroll in a stitching and embroidery course at the local women's center. Her mother-in-law had opinions. Her neighbors had questions, and the boldest among them asked, "अब इस उम्र में क्या सीखना?" So what is there to learn at this age? As if human beings come with an expiry date on growth. 2 years later, Meenaji runs a small embroidery enterprise from home. She has three women from the neighborhood working with her. She has a bank account in her own name. And when somebody calls her Arjun ke papa ki wife, now she smiles and introduces herself as Meena. So you're not meant to stay the same. Staying the same is not loyal to yourself. It's just fear wearing a very comfortable kurta. And for men, because of course, we are also part of the group. Vikram, 35, sales professional, grew up being told in 100 different ways that man's worth is his job title and his salary. Be tough. Don't show weakness. Emotions are for greeting cards. He was good at the game, promotions, targets, the whole thing. And then a health scare at 33 made him sit still for the first time in years. And in that stillness, he realized he didn't know himself at all. He had optimized so hard for external success that there was almost nobody home inside. He started therapy. His friends thought it was strange. His father thought it was unnecessary. And one uncle predictably said, ये सब फिरंगी बातें हैं. But Vikram evolved. He became a more present husband, a more patient father, a better manager, because he finally understood that leading people requires understanding people, including himself. His results didn't suffer. They expanded because he expanded. Evolution isn't a retreat from who you are. It's an arrival at who you were always capable of becoming. And here's the part that nobody warns you about. Growth requires a small, quiet grief. Because to become the new version of yourself, you have to let go of the old one. And that old version did their best. They kept you safe. They survived things you never thought you would. They deserve acknowledgement, but they cannot come with you. The caterpillar doesn't half transform. It doesn't keep one caterpillar leg just in case. It surrenders completely and something with wings emerges. So you're allowed to outgrow your old fears, your old habits, your old definitions of what to deserve. You're allowed to outgrow friendships that kept you small, roles that never fit, and most importantly, the story you've been telling yourself about who you are. The old version of you was the chapter, not the whole book. So, here is today's exercise. So, take out your pens, notebooks, sheet. Once again, a simple exercise, 2 sentences. But potentially one of the most clarifying things you will write this year. So let's write the old version of me used to, and then fill that in honestly. Let me repeat the old version of me used to, maybe it's used to say yes when I meant no, or used to believe I wasn't smart enough, or used to disappear in a room to avoid conflict. It can be anything. So be honest to yourself. The old version of me used to. And then right below it, write the new version of me chooses, and then complete the sentence. I repeat, the new version of me chooses, not will someday or is trying to present tense, chooses. Because growth isn't a destination you arrive at, it is a daily deliberate decision. So the new version of me chooses to take up space. The new version of me chooses to learn even when it's uncomfortable. Or the new version of me chooses to feel things because that's not weakness, that's being alive. So write yours, own it, live it. Now, there's a concept in astronomy about stars. When a star burns brightest, when it fully becomes what it was made to be, it expands so dramatically that everything around it shifts. Some smaller objects get pulled closer, some drift away, and the star, it doesn't apologizes for its gravity. So when you grow, your light changes. Not everyone who loved the dimmer version will celebrate the brighter one. And that is not a reason to dim yourself again. The people who are meant to be in your story, the real ones, the ones who grow with you, they won't say, "Tum badal gaye." They'll say, "Dekho, tum kaise nikhar gaye." Look how you've come in your own. So here's your call to action. Just one thing. This week, do one thing the old version of you wouldn't have dared to do. Just one. Sign up for that class, send that message, say that boundary out loud. Start that thing you've been postponing since someday. Because someday doesn't exist on any calendar I've ever seen. Today does. You do. This version of you right now in this room is already the beginning of someone extraordinary. So grow so much that they can't recognize you. And more importantly, grow so much that you recognize yourself. So, with that thought, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Thank you.